Hi, good morning, good evening, everybody. Welcome back to this next session on ABAP on HANA training. Thank you so much for joining today's class once again with me. In the last session, we discussed about introduction of SAP HANA architecture. We looked at a deep dive inside the index server architecture. We also discussed about HANA Studio and server access details. I hope many of you have already set up the server already. Some of you have sent request. Meenakshi was telling about it today to me that many of you have requested it, and I hope you all have received the user. My humble request to all of you to not connect to the server during the course, during the classes, because during the class, if you try to parallelly practice, you will miss out some important points. So if you are connected to server, please disconnect at this point of time. During the class, please focus only on the class. Don't try to practice side by side in parallel. You should do it ideally after the class. And then if you get stuck somewhere anyway, the video will be available for your review. So let's get started. Today's session, we will discuss a couple of more interesting concepts, especially in terms of ABAP development tools in Eclipse, what tools we will be using to connect to our SAP system, and how can we start our development in ABAP on HANA system. So let's get started, guys. I hope you already have also received a document about how to access our server. And you can see already you must have added the server in SAP GUI already. So I assume that you would have added the server already as part of SAP GUI here. And when you double click, it is launching the logon screen as usual. And then whatever user you've been using, you are able to connect to that user. The username and password for the ABAP system, the SAP ABAP server, is stored in a notepad file inside your remote desktop. So you can just go and read that and keep it noted somewhere in your system. And then there is no need to connect via RDP. You can always connect to ABAP system from your local SAP GUI or something called ADT, which we will talk about it in a minute. Let's get started and see for the development of ABAP on HANA, what is that we are going to use and why we are going to use. So important is to answer why. Many times we see something is being used in the company, but just because they are using, we are also start using. We never ask why. So here is the point why. So let's get started an introduction with using something called ADT for ABAP. What is the need for that? So let's try and understand what exactly ADT stands for. ADT stands for ABAP Development Tool in Eclipse. As we discussed in last class, Eclipse is one of the most powerful development tool in the world. Worldwide, billions of developers across the world are using Eclipse development tool, Eclipse IDE integrated development environment for their development of Android apps, websites, Java-based projects, .NET-based projects, or probably responsive websites or UI5 application or HANA applications. So around the world, a lot of people are using this Eclipse IDE. SAP has thought, why not to also leverage Eclipse to do ABAP development? Yeah, exactly. SAP ABAP development. So we already saw a glimpse of HANA related activities, which we did in Eclipse yesterday, so-called an advanced version of Eclipse or an extended version of Eclipse called HANA Studio. And today's session, we will talk about how to set up ABAP development tool in Eclipse for our usage of developing the ABAP on HANA applications using Eclipse tool. Now, what exactly and how exactly you can install it? So let's look at the steps to install and set up Eclipse development environment and prerequisites. So let's talk about that. So what is Eclipse? As we already discussed, Eclipse is just a development environment, just like your SE80 or SE38. Yeah. So that is what Eclipse is all about. The very first step, guys, which you all need to perform, it is actually prerequisite for Eclipse itself. So let me just put here as a prerequisite for Eclipse is you must have to have Jdk installed in your system. That is the prerequisite to go ahead with Eclipse installation. What is JDK? JDK stands for Java Development Toolkit. It includes something called JRE, our runtime environment plus tools, which allows you to run other tools on top of it. So just understand, Eclipse is like your development environment, but you can also consider this as a tool. Now, this tool needs some Java specific dependencies, and these dependencies are there inside this package called JDK. The beauty of JDK is once you install JDK, it is completely possible now to run your Eclipse environment on any type of computer, any type of operating system, because JDK is providing a runtime environment for Eclipse tool. Whatever Eclipse is doing, JDK is actually converting those instructions to the computer's operating system and passing it by. So that's why the JDK installation is specific to an operating system. The minimum version of JDK, or I would say the version expected in your system for JDK is 1.8. JDK is available in different versions. I have observed and seen that most of the time, if it is JDK 1.8, it works pretty well with the systems. Sometimes I have observed some of the students, not all of them, some of the students who were on higher JDK 1.9 or something, they were facing issues with respect to Eclipse when they were installing it. So be careful. You should ideally go with JDK 1.8. Where do you install JDK? JDK is actually an open source and it is a product of Oracle. So you can find JDK tools installation on Oracle's website. I will give you the link over here and you can download. But before that, I would say majority of your systems already have JDK installed. Yes, guys, majority of your systems already have JDK installed. How can you check that? Very easy. Just press Window R in your Windows operating system and go to command prompt. And here you just type Java space hyphen version. That's the command you can type. And now you can see, guys, here the version of JDK it is showcasing here. And you can see it's already installed in my system as 1.8. This is how you all can check in your computer if the JDK is already installed. Make sure the version is 1.8. If you are on a higher version, you can always go to the remove programs utility in your control panel. So you can always go to control panel and then you can actually go ahead and remove the program, or you just go to the program, remove programs, add remove programs option, and then you can actually remove the Java runtime environment, so-called JDK, and then after that you can come back and follow the steps which I will show you now in a minute to be able to install the JDK 1.8. So you always can find it here. You can see Java 8 JDK Java Development Toolkit 8.0 update 60 is what I'm having. Again, it depends on operating system and bit size of your operating system. So be careful when you are installing the JDK in your system. Your operating system size matters. How can you check that? Very easy for Windows. Since I have a Windows system, I'll just show it here. Click on Start and search for System. And now you can find System Information. Just right click on the system information, just click on system information, or sorry, just click on my PC, search for my PC and this PC, and right click here and go to properties of my PC. And now here you can see the operating system which I'm using is Windows operating system, of course, Windows 10, and mine is JDK. Mine is 64-bit operating system. I would say most of your systems will be on 64-bit OS. So majority of you 64-bit OS JDK will be applicable. So once again repeating, JDK is available is specific to operating system, be it Windows, Mac, or Linux. And then again, the bit size of your OS, it depends on that. If you are on 32-bit operating system, you got to use x86 version, okay, of JDK. If you are on 64-bit operating system, then you got to use 64 as the bit size for your OS. That is what exactly you guys have to choose. Now let us go ahead and see where can we install JDK. So it's very easy. Just quickly open Google and I say install JDK 1.8. And now you can see the topmost link. I just get in inside, I'll give you the direct link, guys. And now here in the link, just select accept license agreement. This is the radio button you must select to be able to agree to the license agreement. It's an open source, so don't worry. There's no charges for installing JDK. And most probably, most of your system already has JDK. You all can check it. Just accept that. After accepting, you can see here the different OS: Linux, Mac, Solaris, and Windows. So if you are on 32-bit OS, then choose x86. If you're on 64-bit OS, then please choose x64. And from here you can download. Once it gets downloaded, it's an exe file. You can double click on this exe file and just simply complete the setup. So that's the step to, which is a prerequisite step before we proceed with installation of our development tool, so-called Eclipse. Yeah, I hope it's clear, everybody. The step number 1, which is a prerequisite to install JDK, again depends on your OS size and your operating system. So based on operating system and your bit size, this is what it depends on. Okay, now let us go ahead and look at the next part. So this part is a prerequisite. Once it's done, follow the steps below to install Eclipse Development environment. Again and again, I'm repeating, Eclipse, it doesn't mean Java. It is just a development environment like your SE38 or SE80. Yeah, this is something which you can install in your local system, be able to perform and do different variety of developments. Do not get panic that I am going to teach or cover anything related to Java. Okay, it has nothing to do with Java. It is just a development environment like SE80. So don't panic. Point number 1. Now you have to go to website http tools.hana.ondemand.com/abap. This is where you should go directly. Let me just take you to this website and let me just open this up directly and let's see what it takes us through. So this is the place. Okay, it's not there. I think it's #ABAP. I think we just missed out. It is #ABAP. So let me just search for ABAP. Yes, it is #ABAP. Let me correct the URL. This is the URL you must go. And now, guys, here you see the Eclipse latest version is Eclipse 4.1. That is the 4.1 version. Eclipse is available in variety of flavors. It is usually named on the name of planets or on the name of the physics concepts like photon, electron, right? This is the name they are keeping. Or sometimes you will see Eclipse Juno, Eclipse Mars, Eclipse Kepler, Eclipse Neon. There are different names. The latest version of Eclipse is Eclipse Photon. This is an open source again. It's absolutely free to use this tool. Anybody can use this absolutely free. You can also extend if you're Eclipse developer itself, then you can extend this tool. This is what SAP have done, creating a HANA Studio. SAP have downloaded the complete source code of this open source and they have changed it and they have built their own tool called SAP HANA Studio. So SAP HANA Studio is actually an advanced or enhanced version of Eclipse. Now we don't need HANA Studio. We just need Eclipse because HANA related activities can also be performed via Eclipse. In a minute, I will show you how. Now, so that's the latest version, Photon. We got to download that. Where do you download it? You can see here the instructions to download that. So you see, get installation of Eclipse from Eclipse Photon. That is the 4th step. So let's right click, open in a new tab. I'm going to put this link also. So that's step number 2. Download Eclipse Photon from here. Step 2 is done. Now you got to come choose any option. You can choose Eclipse IDE for Eclipse committers, or maybe you can choose. I would preferably use Eclipse IDE for Java EE developers. That's what I preferably use. Again, here it depends on your operating system and the bit size. So you can see Windows, mine is 64-bit OS. So I'm going to download this Eclipse 64-bit OS. It will take a couple of minutes. So just click on that and you would see the download will begin here in a second. Just click on download. It's free again. It's a free tool, and you would see my download just will start here at the bottom of my system. You can see it has started already. It is about like 300 megabytes of storage it requires to download Eclipse. It starts here. It will take about 5 minutes to finish the installation. So just complete that download. So I'm not going to do that, guys, because I have already done it in the past. So once the download is done, you just have to also install another software called Winrar. Okay, Winrar is actually an extractor software. Just on a safer side, please use Winrar. You can also download Winrar, again based on OS and the language which you want it to be downloaded. So mine is Windows operating system, 64-bit. So I will also download and install Winrar English. That's the download page for Winrar on a safer side. So also download and install Winrar. Step 3 is done. Step 4. Now, by the time your Eclipse download is ready, once the Eclipse download is ready, what exactly happens? Eclipse creates a zip file. Okay, it brings actually a zip file in your computer. So Eclipse is going to bring a zip file in your computer, and that is a zip file you got to extract. Okay, so you got to extract. So how do you extract that zip file? So any zip file which you have, and if you have already installed Windows operating system in your company, then what happens is you're gonna get this utility for creating or doing an extraction. Okay, that's what you're gonna get. So basically, you will be, once you download the Eclipse, you would see a zip file will be created in your computer. And then when you go to the directory, your computer directory, where you have downloaded Eclipse, you would see that file. Typically, you'll see it in your downloads folder. I would recommend you to move this zip file from downloads folder to some folder in your computer. So I have moved it in my D drive programs Eclipse folder. I created a folder, and inside that I cut and paste this downloaded zip file of Eclipse, which I downloaded from there, from the internet. Yeah. Once you do that, just right click on the file and choose extract here option. Now make sure this option is only available provided you have downloaded and installed WinRAR. Yeah. Then only you'll get this. So right click and choose here extract here option. It's going to extract Eclipse in this directory. My recommendation, strong recommendation, to do this stuff in a dedicated separate folder. You will mess up things in your existing folder if you're doing everything at a place where you have no idea what you're doing. So my recommendation, strong recommendation, create a dedicated folder somewhere in your computer based on availability of your space where you want to keep it. And in that folder, first paste your zip file which you downloaded, and then right click and say extract here. It's going to create an Eclipse folder for you. Okay, that's step number 4. Once it's created, and choose the option extract here. Once it's created, go inside. You will now find eclipse.exe file inside to be able to run this. That's it, guys. Just double click on eclipse.exe to execute. So if you're using Mac or Linux, then steps almost remains the same. You all know that there are specific versions, and then accordingly you've got to do the same steps over there as well. Now coming back, just double click on this file and you would see Eclipse will launch. So mine is already downloaded as older version. This is called Oxygen. So I am not using right now Photon because I downloaded like quite a while ago, and that time the latest version was Oxygen. And now see it is starting the Oxygen Eclipse for us. Yeah. So when it starts, guys, first time it is starting in your computer, what happens is it is going to ask you something called a workspace. So first time runners ask a workspace location. What is a workspace? What is a workspace? This is something new term for us, right? What is workspace? Workspace. What is workspace? Workspace is nothing but it is a computer folder where or directory where Eclipse will store all the files and projects you create. Okay. So it needs some space in your computer where it can keep all those files or projects, whichever you will be creating. Yeah, all that storage is required. So that's what it's called Eclipse Workspace. It is a folder of your local computer where Eclipse is going to keep all the necessary files related to your installation. That is what exactly called Workspace. So just give a folder name, your computer. Again, recommendation is to go ahead and choose somewhere like D drive, my Eclipse or something. Just create a new folder, completely new folder. So create a new folder and just keep that over there. Yeah, that's a recommendation from my side so that you don't mess up things or you don't get confused with too many things in which are there in your system. Okay. Once this is done, Eclipse will start, and you're going to see maybe just I create a new workspace. So let me just create a new workspace so that you don't have to do. I'm just showing you how it looks. When you do it, how will it looks in your system? Okay. So I'm going to switch to another workspace somewhere in my computer. And I'm going to give some name D drive, December ABAP on HANA. So I say launch, and watch out now. It would have created a December ABAP on HANA directory in my computer. You can see, voila, directory in my D drive, December ABAP on HANA has been created. This directory get created by Eclipse automatically, and here is where Eclipse is going to store all the files. Okay, clear everyone? Don't panic with these fancy terms, workspace and stuff like that. It's just a computer folder where Eclipse will store all the files. So that got created, and now you see, guys, this is how the first welcome screen will look like when you are starting fresh, guys. So I'm showing you guys how things will fall apart for you, how things will come across to you as like fresh. Yeah. So this is how it'll look like. And now I'm just going to close this welcome page. Let's look at quickly these areas once again. In the last class we already discussed, but let's once again have a look at these different sections of Eclipse. Very important sections. The beauty of this tool, you can customize it very nicely. I'll show you that in a minute. The topmost section is the menu bar. Then we have a toolbar which has quick options to create, delete projects, run projects, test projects, start, stop debugging, commenting a piece of code, decommenting, moving up and down, version control. All this stuff is there in the toolbar. Then here on the left side, just imagine this is your SAT. Guys, what is an SAT? Have you seen SAT development environment, ABAP Workbench? I'm sure many of you have worked with SAT, not just SE38. Let's look at SAT. It's exactly SAT, guys. This is your SAT. It's nothing more than that. In SAT, your ABAP Workbench, which is your ABAP Workbench, what do you see exactly in SAT? You see on the left side, there's a panel. On that panel, you're going to see all your projects, all your module pools, your data dictionary objects, your type pools, your search helps, your function modules, your function groups, your include programs, your whatsoever you have in your package, or all the packages, application components, everything you see it over there, right? This is what SAT exactly is all about. It's exactly SAT, guys. If you go in to SAT and you watch out, you would find that's exactly SAT. So you see on the left side, you have a kind of tree structure which gives you a look and feel of all the objects. And then you click on any object and it opens up all the code for that object on the right side, be it a program or module or whatsoever you're working. That's exactly Eclipse is. In Eclipse, if you see, that's exactly SAT. On the left side, you see a Explorer where you can explore the projects, your packages and stuff like that. And when you click on a file, it opens on the right side here in this main canvas area, in the content area, and here is where you can start your code. Yeah. This course is actually for developers and programmers. We're going to do a lot of coding in this course, so you're going to do all that coding in here in the development environment Eclipse. But together with that, it's more powerful than SAT actually. This is why SAP invested heavily in Eclipse, because it gives a lot of more power. The another set of power is, you can see there are a lot of other views you can add. You can add different variety of perspectives over here. There are different options to add perspectives to do different variety of developments. There are different notification areas and different tool sections here at the bottom, which allows you to do much more broad things parallelly on a same window. So this is a very rich development experience for all the developers who are using Eclipse development environment. That's the reason SAP has also decided to go with Eclipse development environment. So now, immediately Eclipse is not equipped to create any ABAP related development. So it's just a tool, and Eclipse presumes that you downloaded it for some website development something. So it has tools related to website development, Java development, but it doesn't have the necessary tools to create ABAP development. Okay, you right now can't do any ABAP development. Now, once this is set up and the Eclipse is launched, we need to now make our Eclipse environment for ABAP relevant development also. Okay, how do we do that? So now the next phase, this is the basics, this is the basic setup. The next phase what we'll make is we'll make Eclipse the Eclipse environment to be able to develop ABAP programs or ABAP stuff, which we're going to learn in this course. A lot of now, together with that, since I'm telling you this, you can actually use this Eclipse for also doing HANA development. You can also use Eclipse to do UI5 development, which is the new UI technology SAP offers. So these are all the different developments you can actually perform via Eclipse, guys. Okay, variety of developments you can choose. For that, you need to equip your Eclipse environment to be able to perform these developments, so that you can bring in the options to create programs, to delete programs, to edit function modules, to create tables, to create CDS views. All these things we're gonna equip our Eclipse to be able to do, and that particular option is very easy to perform. How do you do that? For that, again, we need to choose something called install. We need to install additional plugin, so-called plugin for such extra development. And then you say, Anubhav, these plugins are they free? Yes, guys, these plugins are also absolutely free for you. You can use them because Eclipse is an open source and SAP has built these plugins to perform these different variety of developments. So you don't need HANA Studio also. If you wish to want to do HANA development, you can also use Eclipse. There's no need of HANA Studio separately. Yeah, but in our case, HANA Studio is offered as part of RDP offering. So anyway, you have it for free. You are getting it as part of RDP offering with us. Yeah, but for HANA development also in your company, those who are using your own company system for HANA related also, you don't need Eclipse, HANA Studio. You can use Eclipse development environment. I'll show you how. So once this is done, let's equip our Eclipse. So first step is you need to now choose an option called help. And here you got to choose an option called install new software. That is the option you have to choose. Just click on that option. And it's a one-time activity. So don't panic, guys, with these many things. It is just a one-time setup. And once you're done, you're happily live ever after, right? So it's just a one-time setup. Yeah. Just one time effort, and it's fun doing Eclipse development and Eclipse setup on your own. I will make all of you self-dependent. That's the idea of this training. I don't want you to be dependent on any colleague in your company. No dependency on anybody. That's my goal. I want each one of you to become completely self-dependent with an end-to-end idea of entire stuff. So coming to the first step, what you got to type here? You just have to choose install help menu. Choose install new software, and that's the option. And once it is done, you just come here and type in work with, enter URL as http tools.hana.ondemand.com / your Eclipse version. Any guess, anyone, which Eclipse we are using? Or which Eclipse? Just now I told you the Eclipse version. Which version of Eclipse we have downloaded? Anybody? Which Eclipse I just told you? I told you about Photon, right? Yours is Photon. You will be downloading Photon if you're doing first time. My version which I'm using is Oxygen. So since I'm using Oxygen, I'm going to type here /Oxygen. Since you are going to do it, guys, for first time, you guys will be writing Photon here because you guys will be downloading Photon for the first time. Those who are new will be doing it for the first time. So for you, it will be Photon. So choose this URL and just come in here. Oh, sorry, I closed it. I just have to go back and help and install new software and just put in here, press enter. And watch out, guys, it fetches the information from SAP website now of all the tools which are available for Eclipse. Wow, amazing. And now I can choose the development tools for ABAP. So guys, don't be choosy. Don't be lazy in selecting everything. You just be choosy. So you got to choose ABAP development tools for SAP HANA, ABAP development tools for core ABAP development tools, the second one, the third one, and if web connectivity not required, ABAP business object tools also not required. You can choose ABAP business object tool actually. That's okay. So 1, 2, and 3, these are sufficient enough. Still, if you feel that you want to go with everything, just you can also choose everything, not a problem. Now, those who are using your own company HANA system, as I told you guys, you don't need any HANA studio in your company. You can still connect to HANA database from your local system. So you got to choose uh, SAP HANA tools. Yeah, that's one we got to choose. So HANA administration, development, and HANA database development tools. Just check all three of them to be able to also now enable your Eclipse environment, just like HANA Studio. You will be able to do all the add system, remove system, and stuff like that with Eclipse itself. Now, those who are planning to use SAP UI5 development in future, UI5 and Fiori, you can also choose this particular option. But I would recommend not to choose this option. At this point, just be satisfied with minimal, which is in this case ABAP Connect, ABAP Business Object Tools, Core Data Development Tools, and ABAP Development Tools for SAP HANA. These three tools are sufficient enough. Bare minimum installation. Click on Next. And once you click on Next, and then you again have to get a screen like license agreement. Again, it's absolutely free, so don't worry about that. And I just accept the license agreement and say finish. Once you say finish, guys, system will start installing this ADT tool, ADT development toolkit. That's what you got to choose. So just enter the URL, choose the ADT tools, app development tools for ABAP related installation, and select next and finish. The installation gets over. On finish, installation starts, it gets over. You will know that with the progress indicator bar. And once it's completed, your Eclipse will restart automatically. Not computer, your Eclipse will restart. Once your Eclipse restart and you come back to here, now it's time to check whether your Eclipse is ready. So it's time to check whether Eclipse is ready for ABAP. How do you check it? How do you check it? So it's very easy. Just go on the top right corner, open perspective. You can see this button over here. This is 100% done. Okay, this is 100% done. That after that, no prerequisite. That's all. This is all the installation process. No other process is required. Okay. Now you see this this button over here called open perspective. Just click on that button, and now you can see there is this ABAP which is available here for you guys to get started with ABAP development using Eclipse. I hope it's clear, everyone. What is ABAP development in Eclipse? Just choose that up, click on open, and now you see the perspective changes a little bit. Wow, wow, wow. See, guys, this is the kind of logo which is now saying, hey, welcome to ABAP development team, ABAP in Eclipse development team. These features will help you to get the things done. It's very interesting and stuff like that. That's this feature explorer which comes up. You get now on the right side, you see, as I was telling you about perspective, so you get a CDS navigator perspective also for free. So that's the magic of perspective. So you get that option, you get project explorer, You get this outline view. You see these problems view at the bottom. Yeah, this is a good option which will identify the syntax issues related to ABAP. Yeah, all this is what you're gonna get here at the bottom. Okay, this is all you're gonna get. So there's a question from Prabhanjan. Eclipse ID Development Tool 2.2.4, is this the same with Photon? Yes, exactly. That's the same with Photon. So you always can see that version over here. So while you're installing, guys, you can actually check the version. So I'll just go back. So you can always check the version of the development tool. So you can see these versions. So its latest is 2.102.2. That is the version actually. This is the version of the development tool. So if somebody is asking, version to check, this is the version of the development tool. Okay, you can always check that. So that's something you can check. Now come back. And now once it is done, you can always come and right click on the Project Explorer. And now guys, wow, right click, say new, and you see, wow, you see an ABAP project option over here. That's because now we have Eclipse with ADT, ABAP Development Tools in Eclipse is being successfully installed. So if your Eclipse is immaculate, if it is just a fresh installation, you don't see this option. What brings this option, anybody? What brings this option to Eclipse? ABAP project option. What has got this project option to Eclipse? What has made it possible? What is that which we did to bring this project, ABAP project option to Eclipse? We installed the plugin. What was the plugin name? Anybody? What is the name of the plugin? Anyone? What is the name of the plugin? Perfect answer. Vipin has got it first. It's ADT, ABAP Development Tools plugin. Very good answer, Vipin. That's what ADT is all about. I hope you guys are clear. What is ADT? ABAP Development Tools in Eclipse. Yeah, that's what got ADT called. I hope it's clear, everyone. You will be able to follow these steps. This is called spoon feeding. Exactly. So these are all the steps which we have here to install the Eclipse. So in the next section now, we will look at the features of Eclipse. Why Eclipse development? Now we understood the purpose, but the question is still remains the same. Anubhav, why are we doing like this? What is the benefit of it? Yeah. Now, and also there's a question, what is this ABAP project? Is it really going to create a program or something? I'm going to discuss that also about it in a minute. Let's talk about what is ABAP project. So we checked it already, and now we see some option called ABAP project. What is an ABAP project? Let's talk about it. An ABAP project is just a container which holds a connection to an ABAP system, which means we can have multiple connections using multiple ABAP project using same Eclipse environment. It's a connection to an ABAP system, guys. Okay, it's a connection to ABAP system, which means if I add two ABAP projects here, I can have both my quality, production, and development system added here in a single window. Are you guys clear? So each ABAP project pointing to one system. So maybe your D, maybe your Q, and maybe your P. That is possible. Is that clear, everybody? DPQ. I hope you all understand DPQ, development quality production. You can also have a lot of other dev systems. Like in your company, you may be having luxury of development systems like 1809, 1802. Maybe different development systems you may be having in your company. So it could be different systems. So like a development of ECC, development of Suite on HANA, S4 HANA. So you can have multiple systems in the same option. So it's a connection to a system. Let's add that connection. So right click. Now the primary requirement, guys, you must install SAP GUI in your local system before you start using Eclipse. Okay. So this is a primary requirement. Again, it's prerequisite. Let me note down the prerequisite. So you should have installed the JDK and also SAP GUI in your system. Where do you get SAP GUI? I'm sure you would have already got it today. You have requested for server access. In the document which Meenakshi has shared with you, we have SAP GUI installation over there. So you can download SAP GUI for free. It's 7.4 actually. And then you can install SAP GUI. The instructions and everything is given over there to install SAP GUI. I hope you all have seen that document. I have that link. Those who have not received the document, of course, you've not opted, I'll give you the link here for installing SAP GUI. So let me just get that. Give me a second. I'll put it here. Those who don't have SAP GUI with you, just give me a second. Let me just check my drive for SAP GUI installation. Just check your drive. I'll get you the link, guys. Don't worry. So where is SAP GUI? Hey, can you please get me SAP GUI? Not able to get that. Just give me a second. I'll check it in the document. You're finding it. Your screen might have frozen, guys, because I froze it. You may not see me doing anything. Just give me a second. I'll just.
No.
Yes, please. Any questions? I hear some voice. Okay, maybe. Okay, let me just get SAP GUI installation. Where do you get that from? Yeah, I got the link, and I'm going to show you that link, guys. So now you can see, guys, SAP GUI link. Yeah, this is where you can download SAP GUI and just download and run SAP Inst. There is a file called SAP Inst file. When you run that, the SAP GUI gets installed in your system. I'm going to put that link here in the PPT, so you guys can also refer that. So that's SAP GUI installation. And now once it's done, Eclipse is done, Eclipse Web and SAP GUI installation is also done. We are ready. Okay. So let's add ABAP project. So then after that, you would have already added the project in here, the system in here in SAP GUI. And it's pretty easy now to connect with the reference of this system, which you added in SAP GUI. Now coming back, say new, and just choose ABAP project. And now you see, guys, it opens the same Sap Gui like window over here. Please install Sap Gui as a prerequisite before you start ADT. And now here you see the system. Just click on next and just say next again. And now just give your user, in case mine is Mafai. That's the beauty of our server. You can connect from your local computer. So you can work like in your company environment you're working. Same way you can work. And voila, can you see the system has got added on the top left corner. And I can actually add multiple times the same system or multiple system. Yeah. Each connection is represented by an ABAP project. So again, I add the same system with probably a different user. So let me just try showing you adding for a different user. You can actually do that pretty easily. And now you see, that's the beauty of Eclipse. So you can connect with same window with multiple systems with the same window. And that's something you can't do with Sap GUI. Can you do that with Sap GUI, anybody? Is it possible for Sap GUI to connect in a same window with multiple systems? Multiple client also possible. That's not possible with Sap GUI, guys, but it's possible with ADT. ADT, with the same window, you can connect to multiple systems and work parallelly. Yes, guys. So you can open two programs and then you can compare both the programs of your dev and quality system in the same window. But you can't do that with Sap GUI. You have to open each time a different session with the Sap GUI. So thank you so much for watching this video. If you feel this video is helpful for you and your colleagues, please do share this video with all your friends and colleagues. Thank you so much for all your efforts putting and understanding this concept with me. Please do like, subscribe to my channel to get more videos like this. You will be getting notified automatically once you subscribe to this channel. If you want to get more deep into the course, please don't hesitate to subscribe to my course on SAP UI5 and Fiori development, SAP ABAP on HANA with S4HANA technical modules, and also probably on SAP Fiori Launchpad and Advanced Fiori training on Web ID full stack. This is Anubhav signing out. Thank you so much. See you again. Goodbye.